final ROD review of the night. Echo Fox versus Team Liquid. And we all know this is a game that Team Liquid loses after we just reviewed their victory where they had a pretty standard win against TSM. So let's try to understand what went into this particular loss. I haven't seen pick ban or the gameplay here between Echo Fox and Team Liquid. So first round, Echo Fox ban away Aurelia and Ryze against Team Liquid. So they're respecting the Ryze, which I think the Ryze respect is a bit of a surprise to me. The Aurelia also. They're kind of peculiar bans for this. To me, I hope this is more about what Echo Fox wants to play than what I think they think Team Liquid will play, right? Because Sylas is definitely the flex pick they play the most, and Jensen's an okay Akali, but I wouldn't have expected Aurelia Ryze. Jace Yumi, I expect to become the automatic red side bans. I think like every game you kind of have to ban Jace Yumi, especially on patch 9.10. Final ban here can be a lot of stuff. It could be a flex champion, it could be a jungler. I wonder what you ban against Echo Fox here as Team Liquid. Okay, Sonataric. So TL kind of has 3 enforced bans, and Echo Fox can sort of ban whatever they want. In this case, Sylas' first pick is what you would expect. So Team Liquid take Akali Xayah as a response to the Sylas. It should be noted that a lot of teams value Akali above Sylas, but those are mostly teams that can play Akali in both roles. And while Impact is capable of locking in Akali, his Akali play is just not a natural champion for his playstyle. It's not something that... You never looked at Akali's rework and said, ooh, I wonder how Impact will play on this champion. That's just not... That's not the way it goes. The Xayah Rakan makes a lot of sense. Depending on teams, there'll be some teams that take Rakan first here, but I think Xayah is actually the strongest part of the duo right now. Rakan, of course, has the changes in his kit. That means that he doesn't have quite the same catch potential, can't flash at the same moments. I feel like Xayah has been indirectly buffed a couple of times, and overall, Rakan has been like power reworked a couple of times, and it's almost kind of neutral to the, say, 45% rather than the 50% when it comes to full power rework. Therefore, I actually think Xayah is the stronger of the duo for the first time in quite a long time. So I definitely am behind the Xayah priority here. But you think you feel like you know it's Akali mid and Xayah bot, and just the fact that it's not Akali flex should give you a lot more options as Echo Fox when it comes to lane assignments than what's actually there on the side of Team Liquid. A lot of teams will take Galio Kai'Sa here. I'd love to see Galio Kai'Sa. I feel like it's a really good way to just blow up Rakan. And it's loss game here as well, I forgot to mention. But speaking of Oceanic Love, Lost from the OPL is here. Player that Spawn, of course, raved about to international audiences whenever he got the opportunity. One of the best 80 carries we've had in the OPL. Nice to see his return onto Echo Fox. And Xayah Rakan comes in. And someone in chat's asking about low priority on Kalista. I mean, Kalista's actually a very regional specific champion a lot of the time. I expect to see Korea still playing Kalista, don't get me wrong, but she's a champion that some teams play and some AD carries even play and some teams don't. So, you know, we saw awesome Kalista from Betty and Teddy. You know, Teddy's one of the best in the world. And then some teams showing no priority on Kalista at all. So North American teams don't play a lot of Kalista. Chinese, Korean teams still on the Kalista, and EU has been off the Kalista hype train a lot of the ways, but there's some players that still play a lot of it as well. So no junglers taken first round. I guess with the power down of Rek'Sai and a small nerf to Jarvan, people are now saying Rek'Sai priority down. Because like we saw some Rek'Sai ban in one of our previous reviews. The Camille ban here is really interesting. Camille, for a couple of reasons, is relevant recently. As a counter pick to Pyke lane, Camille is very, very strong. It was played in the LCS. It's something people are now aware of. But that's not actually the reference I'm going to talk about. We might actually see some Camille mid lane in the LCK, as a lot of LCK mid laners are practicing Camille mid lane into certain fighter matchups, into the Sylas as well. So interesting that we're going to see Camille banned for many reasons, and situationally a jungler. The Jarvan Rek'Sai power down is a little bit surprising to me, because while Rek'Sai saw a small nerf, I don't think it's enough to push her out, and she still murders Krug. So it being more of a level 3 meta doesn't hurt Rek'Sai, in my opinion. I think Rek'Sai is still super high priority, so we do see it locked in here, which makes sense. But if you were gonna play the Rek'Sai, why wouldn't you just ban Jarvan Skarner and then just pick Rek'Sai here? It's very... I don't know what the bans meant. Like, Jarvan isn't as strong as before, because I feel like the jungle changes do hurt him a bit. But now you just have Skarner into Rek'Sai, and the blind GP is actually pretty decent here. It's going to be top lane. It does give you your lane assignments. It's going to be something. It's going to be something where you could see Team Liquid last picking it into a lot of lane opponents, and then it undoing Echo Fox's draft. But then you wonder what Impact's answer to top lane GP will be. They hover the Swain, but again, not a champion that you really think Impact will go to. They go to the Vladimir that they've had very poor macro about in a lot of previous games. Now, I'm in kind of a weird... I'm leaving it on the screen because we see Cute Boy Lost on screen here, keeping the Oceanic love going. But the reason why I pause it here is we just reviewed TL versus TSM, where TL subverted expectation, ganked for Impact's Cannon, and got a lead around the Cannon lane. And that subverts expectation, because usually whenever they pick a carry top lane, or a top lane that needs attention, they just don't go top. And Vladimir especially has been this pariah champion for TL fans, because they'll draft Vladimir, who needs his time, needs a bit of tender loving care, and then just never go topside, and then the Vladimir never does his job. So I know it's like a scornful champion for Team Liquid. It is the best available answer to answer to GP. I know some people prefer the Swain, and Wonder showed off what it can do. But I'm a huge fan of Vlad into GP. I think it's a huge winning matchup. But it also has caveats. It also doesn't win hard, level 5, level 7. And the game can be rewritten based on, well, the GP's hanging back and throwing down a cannon barrage, and you're just winning bot lane because GP ult can do that, and not punishing the GP hard enough. So it does put a bit of a burden on you for how you have to play the game. And people are in chat talking about Smithy's pathing. So I haven't seen this game, so I'm always unconvinced when I see Team Liquid pick something like Vlad that doesn't even start fights well, like a cannon. It's just good laning matchup, probably needs to be jungled around to either get vision or to get kills. Is that something TL does normally? No, they don't do that well. So they have to convince us here that they're going to be able to pull this off. Meanwhile, Skarner basically trivializes Rek'Sai as a champion unless she's super fed, because you just ult the Rek'Sai as she dives in. Echo Fox can actually play the map really well with both GP ult and the Galio ult. And you could just play through bot side and kill Rakan, and just... Can Team Liquid ever win a game when bot lane's behind? I don't think so. I don't think they play well there. I think their macro falls apart there. So there's a lot of reasons here where you're unsure of Team Liquid, even though Team Liquid has some good tools, but it's also an EchoFox team that I think looked pretty impressive coming towards the end of the spring season, but has reinvented again. Rush on Skarner doesn't necessarily fit his usual kind of get out there and play aggressive style, but then he didn't play aggressively in a lot of games, including the first game EchoFox played in this tournament. So there's a lot of question marks here on both sides. For TL's global development, you know, for NA fans wanting TL to go far, you want to see them both able to play a proactive mid-game comp like they did against TSM and play through Impact. If they were able to win both their games, you're like, okay, TL is addressing their weaknesses. But that remains to be seen in this particular game. TL gets down some nice vision, so they have both red buff information. They have Raptor's top side and also the spotting vision for the Rek'Sai. Rune choices here, pretty standard on both sides. Conquer Akali, ever since Caps showed that one off, has now become the standard. Yusui actually goes... Huh, interesting. Actually, it's going to be an Aftershock Sylas. We've seen Conqueror Sylas, we've seen Electrocute Sylas, and the Aftershock Sylas, which used to be a no-brainer, now is only really strong, I think, early in the game, and maybe at just Proto Belt. I feel like it falls away really quickly, but it's one of those things where what you do with it is always interesting. And it's a tricky matchup. We've seen Caps win both sides of the Akali-Sylas matchup, so it kind of muddies the waters. I don't really have a full opinion on it. Like, it feels... It's not a 50-50 in my opinion. I won't say that, but I don't have a strong opinion on who I feel like is super hard advantage. I think it might be Rune choice and playstyle choice relevant, which can be an interesting thing to think about. So Smithy did full topside clear, which you almost always see as a Rek'Sai, whether it was the previous patch or this patch. They had a ward on Raptors the whole time, so expecting that Raptors is up, and also being happy to skirmish. So I like the path here from Smithy. The reason he's going for... Okay, so in case you're wondering, Rek'Sai really wants to get bot side scuttle control as much as possible. Like, that's a really big thing. So the reason why I like this pathing is I really like bot side scuttle control when you're against a GP, because if you ever lose bot side scuttle control against Skarner Gangplank and then Galio support bot lane, then the moment Galio flashes, you know that the Cannon Barrage is following, that Skarner's in position. GP comps snowball through bot side really, really reliably. So any tool you can give as a Rek'Sai to help out there is very welcomed. So in this case, that would be bot side scuttle control. Now, the bot side scuttle isn't going to, because Smithy sees Yusui in a really bad laning position. Always talk about this in Aurelia games, but this is the worst possible lane spot against most assassin champions, where the enemy turret is not aggroing onto the minion. There's a bit of a freeze here, so Yusui's in kind of no man's land when it comes to whether he gets engaged on or not. That's why we see the Rek'Sai come in to try to find a gank. But gonna just go back down to bot side scuttle. All really standard stuff from here. Expect to see the ward you see from solo more and more commonly is wards onto Krug camps. The Krug camp, the meta is going to be defined by champions with AoE clears that kill Krugs fast, and obviously Krugs famously have the most experience and gold loaded into them. Very often you clear it in your second camp. So because of that, deep warding onto Krugs will become a normal ward, and anything that isn't that will become kind of the next level ward, because you're going to expect the Krug wards in, say, 2 weeks' time. let's watch the play here. Just looking for a lane ward. Rek'Sai's bot side. You would expect Rek'Sai to be bot side as Rush, because Rek'Sai showed mid lane, and then 30 seconds ago went to do the Scuttle Crab. So you know that Rek'Sai's likely to be bot side, but you've got the Predator, so you know you're going to be there first. That part makes sense. A lot is invested to try to make this play happen, but it's so desperate. Watch the play as it starts. So far, it's good. You walk up, and Rush alone is going to be able to get a summoner out of the enemy team. That's definitely going to happen. Hakuo misjudges his Taunt Flash by quite... Let's see how much it's by. We can get the... We can see the range here. Hold on. So he misjudges by about a third of a Teemo. So he doesn't misjudge by much, but even if you hard double flash here, are you killing someone unless it's Core JJ who is full health? It's not like he's taking a speck of damage. So it's ultra desperate. And they just give up 2 kills. So this is, you know, this is very avoidable by Echo Fox. They just get too greedy, thinking they can make something happen that's optimistic at best. Oh, so he even has his back cancelled. What a disaster. The back canceling's even more troll. Oh. Like, it almost like... You know, when you come into Echo Fox versus TSM, you assume... Sorry, Echo Fox versus TL, you assume TL is going to win, understandably. But then, if you ask me, what are the chances that TL win when they get the double kill early? And it's even worse than that. Like, just let this wash over you. Echo Fox double TP, double flash, ignite to go 0 for 2. Whereas TL only double flash, single TP. So TL use way less things and get 2 kills for 0, and Echo Fox ruin 2 lanes with their teleports. So Echo Fox use insane amount to get nothing. So it's a 1400 gold lead, and a lot of the lanes are in a really bad spot here. So the basic game plan of, if I see a chance to go bot side and get an advantage, I take it, is how Rush should have been coached. This is the way you want to play this game. But doing it before level 6 and GP having to defensively teleport second after a Vladimir, the timing is off. And the timing is so... The devil's in the details, and not waiting till level 6 there and then failing to that magnitude could just mean that an on-paper game plan doesn't even apply to the game anymore. So I hadn't watched this game before this review, and I'm looking at that being like, holy crap. Like, that is so much to lose as Echo Fox. Good path from PapaSmithy. Again, 2 games in a row where he's gone topside. I don't know what was said between the members after MSI, but showing a lot more willingness to go topside for good matchups for Impact, which is good to see. So TL have lane control bot side. Vladimir only gets happier into GP, and Akali has a 2-wave lead. Holy crap. TL's so far ahead. How do they lose this game? Smithy's so active with his ganking. All right, Solo's level 6. Going bot lane, again, viable decision for Rush. Oh, I don't know about that Rush. Mid lane is so low. You have to go bot lane here. If your options are gank Akali or Vlad or Zyra Rakan, you go bot lane. Don't gank for the GP lane. He ganks with you in other lanes. Mid lane is so unlikely to be pulled off. How did this happen? Let's watch this play. So they know that Sylas is out of lane, and that's why Rek'Sai walks up. Vladimir can't walk there trivially, but is pretty close. Contesting here is correct from McSmithy. That part's fine. Kali starts to walk up. They start brawling. What's happening here with... this invade is the correct invade. You should definitely invade here. And you assume Akali's going to walk up the moment she clears out the wave. She's working on the wave right now, watching the minimap. Akali can walk over, and there's nothing Skarner can do, right? She puts the water, but... Jensen really, really wants to recall here because he has he has no items. He's got lifesteal and doesn't even have his entire bilge water. I assume McSmithy after Smite said I got it and was going to disengage. But this isn't the part that's not acceptable here. If you watch here, like Jensen's recalling. And McSmithy starts... whether he's brawling or he's saying, hey, I can't get out. Either way, for there to be... look at the minimap, right? As this play starts. Smithy makes the right call to walk up, and then you look at the vision box, the rectangle you see. Akali is towards the right of it, so she's within just the broadcast vision box. And obviously, Vladimir can also make it there to contest. For this play to go from that to this, where Smithy, after the blue, he gets stunned, and then I assume the knock-up is because... but the knock-up is intentional, right? Because it's a single target knock-up. For there to be that much brawling with no response from the Akali is a really big mistake from TL. That's very, very poor. With how far ahead they were in the game, it's kind of bizarre for Smithy to die in that scenario. Seemed like disconnect between mid and jungle there. Very poor from Team Liquid. So weird. Really, really weird to see that. So he's untargetable, gets hit by AoE, I guess, during what would have been the start of the animation of the damage portion and dies. It always looks a bit awkward because untargetability is... it's always a part of a frame and not always visually transparent for when you're truly invulnerable to AoE damage, but he just dies there. Would have died anyway, whether he went through with it or not. Okay, well, that was Team Liquid just making a straight-up mistake. Still way ahead in this game. Vladimir still runs all over GP. The other advantages are still around, in multiple areas. Bot side control for top side control with Rift Herald up. Not the ideal trade for Team Liquid. I feel like they could invade top side. I think 2v2, they have a lot of options to blow one person up with a Kali Rek'Sai. But GP ult's kind of wasted because it turns out they're actually on the Drake rather than threatening the dive as hard as they expect. This is good from TL. So let's see the information that led to the GP ult. The GP ult's used early because they assume they're coming for a dive after Akali left, but actually the Smithy's just taking the Drake, and the ult doesn't really clear out very much at all. So even though Echo Fox had a tool to answer a cross-map play, TL actually get to go bot side against a team that wants to play bot side and end the laning phase before GP ult matters. This is a good trade from TL. This is a really good move from them. I think Echo Fox kind of misjudged this scenario. And now Doublelift is 40 CS up in Xayah Rakan lane. Some of the global gold is going to be answered. But GP ult is strongest in short lanes, in turret dive scenarios. And now the only short lane left is top side. So GP's going to have to go bot side. And that's an area where Echo Fox have had some control, but they're going to have to work out a scenario where they can actually get something going. Look at that, 1,400 gold between 80 carries is pretty big in this case. Again, gold lead wise, TL in a really happy spot. Echo Fox haven't been able to use the cannon barrage for any advantages, and Team Liquid making a big mistake, a mistake between the mid jungle, McSmithy and Jensen, is the only reason that Echo Fox on the mark this game. Really early QSS from CoreJJ so that he can walk up to turrets. Otherwise, whether you have Demolish proc, whether you don't, you can never walk up to turrets because you're just afraid of a flash or a Predator Skarner. So, good decision to go QSS rush here from CoreJJ. TL could have looked for turret plates around Doublelift, but I guess with the timer being high and Hakuho sweeping, they give up on that. And they just look towards Yasui in mid lane. It's a nice pick coming through from Jensen. He comes from River and just comes in super aggressively before anyone can react. Another good move by TL. Again, with the way they're playing this game, it's still unbelievable to me that TL don't win this game. They only made one bad mistake, and they've overall made good decisions from there. Double is 1v2ing. Yasui's TP doesn't even get a flank. Vlad's pushing in GP. This is exactly how you play out this comp if you're TL. I didn't watch this game live, no. My first time seeing it. 4K gold lead. They got the GP Vlad Xayah team fights coming in. Echo Fox weren't able to use their Skarner plus GP or their Galio plus Skarner or their Skarner plus Galio to get picks. Only one Skarner ult in 15 minutes behind in turret plates. 3 out of turrets down. That's 2 out of turrets, I should say, down at 15 minutes as TL. Now, it should be noted that the Vlad versus GP isn't going as expected because after the first gank, there's been no return to that lane. But there's a little bit of vision around it. And the Vlad, the more items that come in, the more you can run over a GP. So it's not definitely anything to be worried about. All right. So the attempt to make the mirror play here doesn't work. Jensen did this exact play on the minimap we saw to get the first brick onto Yasui, and they know his flash is still down. But he's able to instantly steal a Kalio to buy space and able to just kite the fight out for a long, long time, which is big for them. The steal onto the Akali there was the most important thing by far because Kai'Sa could never get into that fight. Lost was way out of the picture, and yet enough time was wasted that they finally got a pretty good spot there. People calling out the Vladimir ult. It is just onto one member. Yeah, the ult timing there is not ideal. He just assumed he was definitely going to get the kill if he hit the ult, and that was not the case. Okay, I mean, TL looks for another fanciful pick. This time, you know, fool me once, fool me twice scenario for Echo Fox. They don't die here. They're staying on the Rift, though, as Yusui, I guess, was able to heal up enough. But it's only an Ocean Drake, so nothing for TL to be too concerned about. They used 4 flashes on the side of TL. Good point. So it's more than just the simple fact of Yusui getting out. It was no flashes used by Echo Fox to 4 flashes for no kill by TL. Good catch by KOR in the chat. It's not something that I initially noticed because, yes, they use a lot of summoners. They lose a Drake for it, but it's an Ocean Drake, and it's a game that Echo Fox has largely been a passenger in so far, right? They haven't been able to make plays that should be able to punish summoners being down. Oh, Smithy had QSS. I have triple QSS already. Wow. I guess it should be mentioned that 3,900 gold is on QSS here. So actually it's an even gold game if you remove the QSSs from the inventory. And yes, there's some MR there, which is relevant against Yasui's damage. But the gold lead isn't being flexed onto Echo Fox in terms of damage items like it might be in a different game. I wonder what the correct move is on Rek'Sai in a game like this. I could understand Rek'Sai going full damage, full Black Cleaver as second item, and just understanding that Warrior Black Cleaver Rek'Sai hitting her damage timings, killing one person, then probably dying to Skarner is fine. Instead, QSS Rek'Sai, it's kind of an interesting proposition because Rek'Sai, the only person on the team with Smite Up, like, what does she really do, right? She QSS's and then still randomly dies. So the lack of damage on the Rek'Sai doesn't feel like it's being outweighed by the utility protection that the QSS provides. I think 1-for-1 is... If you're going to go Rek'Sai and the enemy goes Skarner, I think you say, I want to get 1-for-1. I don't think you say, let's get rid of this QSS. Let's get this QSS, because then you probably don't get one and you probably die still. You're still super squishy and you don't have enough damage. And having like a 4.8 AD ratio on your kit and not building damage, it's a lot for QSS to try to outweigh. So TL are kind of meandering now. They had really good plays to get the 3 turrets, but now getting an advantage for them isn't as clear cut. The easy objectives are down, and they got nice wards for the Vladimir. So for once at least, we're seeing Impact empowered to move forward and push in minion waves. If you look at their team, you know, they got Rakan catch, they got Rek'Sai catch, but otherwise their true initiation is pretty limited, right? Compared to some of the more flexible options that Fox have. And we're too early in the game for it to be about Baron. So game slows down here. Just has to. Good for Impact with no vision to pull away here. Good top laner sense. It's actually something that Echo Fox are being able to do. They're going to the Skarners and the Kai'Sa are going to the GP lane, which you don't normally expect, especially in a bad matchup like against Vlad. And they don't even have to use the GP ult to make it happen. Solo went 1-for-1 there. All right. How did Impact die? When did Impact use his W? Never? Impact doesn't W in this entire play and just dies. Yeah, I mean... You know how we say that some people just aren't Vladimir players? Like, this is like reminded me of Caps's tactical int under a turret. In fact, that was just an int. That wasn't even tactical. This is I mean, it's a 1 for 0 where you could argue they spent too many resources to only get 1 kill, but it's actually a 1 for 1. So it's way worse than that. Good point out from Nizzy NBC. Double Lift isn't one either. Gotta admit, Team Liquid, who's Team Liquid's best Vladimir player? Is there a chance that like PapaSmithy or CoreJJ on off-roll is the best Vladimir player on this team? Any thoughts? It's possible. I trust CoreJJ. I feel like CoreJJ is the most popular answer on Vlad. I actually don't know what Core's off-roll champion is. PapaSmithy used to play top lane and AD carry, right? Is that right? I think he used to play AD carry. I feel like PapaSmithy's off-roll champion is Ezreal. Does that sound right? I'm not sure about CoreJJ's off-roll. I mean, he used to be an AD carry, I guess. So if you ask me about CoreJJ's Lucian, then I'd be like, yeah, he's a pretty good Lucian. But yeah, unsure. Love when you can... Questions like this reveal some of the veterans in the chat. Abyss, shout out to Abyss TTV. AD carry on XDG and Zuna went jungle. Yep. You are definitely an OG there. And yet TL is still in a comfortable spot, except Impact down in CS by 30 is actually losing this lane. That's not good. Because the whole point of the Vladimir is that you run over the GP in the side lane in a scenario like this, and that you have priority on the GP. You're not supposed to be a level under and getting solo killed. All right, I think Vladimir on the ban list for Team Liquid. And by that, I mean Team Liquid shouldn't play that anymore. I thought this is a trap champion for them. Don't worry, Team Liquid. I also think that SK Telecom T1 shouldn't play Vladimir either, because Faker's Vladimir is not good. Like, Vlad is supposed to win this matchup pretty hard. The QSSs... Doesn't it feel like the QSSs are, like, ruining some of the item breakpoints here? Like, look at the mid lane. You're up 25 CS, and I can't help but look at the items and feel like Jensen's items are shit compared to Yasui's. You know what I mean? Like, Quadra QSS is so much. If you're against Malzahar Skarner, okay. Like, you know, like, I guess you have to have it. But the QSS tax, look, this is going to be a dodgy point. And I'm not, you know, like, pay your taxes is, of course, the meme when it comes to League of Legends. Like, you got to pay the QSS tax. But I'm going to, you know, I don't want you guys to share this out there, but I think it's important that sometimes I don't think everyone needs to pay their taxes, you know? Like, I actually do feel like some people here should be on the run from the IRS from Team Liquid. And I feel like everyone paying their taxes, it's almost like Team Liquid have to put together their money and buy a house. Like, they need a house. For whatever reason, they couldn't buy a gaming house, and they need to buy a house together. Like, the power of 5, let's buy a house. But everyone did their tax return just before they had to put in the money to buy the house, and now people don't have enough money to buy a house. Somehow, Team Liquid are effectively way behind in the game, where they actually played way better than expected in the early game, because they all paid their taxes. And I would imagine also there's unspent gold and a bad timing. And now we're at a point where Team Liquid have less effective items, even though they're 3,000 gold ahead. So they've paid their taxes, and then kind of weirdly bought or not spent all their gold. And they've somehow kind of contrived to be in a scenario where they can't fight against Echo Fox, even though everything about the names on paper and the game timer suggests they should be in a really good spot. Like they're way poorer than they look. It's kind of the long and short of this one. So I know it's like kind of a convoluted metaphor, but especially with someone like the Akali here, they've picked a lot of champions that are in a game state and a game time where they have X thousand gold and should be this strong. And they're way weaker than that because the QSSs have put them in a weird spot. I don't think it's right for 4 people to build QSS. I think you build Quicksilver Sash to stop options. You build Quicksilver Sash in order to allow someone to split push super hard and not have to care where Skarner is. But if 4 people build Quicksilver Sash, the only time when everyone having it actually matters is in a 5v5, because then it's like, well, enemy Skarner can't do anything because we all have QSS. I think across the map, the QSSs here in the 1v1s, 2v2s, and 3v3s are actually losing Team Liquid those 1v1s, 2v2s, and 3v3s, and they're not 5v5 fighting and being able to disregard the Skarner. So, yeah, I know this is a very roundabout way to get to the point, but I think what I want people to take away is that, like, this feels like the weakest Team Liquid 4,000 gold lead, like the sort of weakness that I couldn't imagine based on the game state. So yeah, dodge your taxes, Team Liquid. Not everyone has to pay taxes. How does it start? All right, Impact's mechanics there were fine. I was worried that he was missing some of his E's, but he had the only real mechanic you need to nail on Vladimir is the EW mechanic to buffer that during the pull, and he did that fine. So Galio ult down, no harm, no foul. Vladimir ult on a really short cooldown, that's fine. All right, so now TL is shopped, and now it looks like less of a relative item discrepancy because they finished Black Cleaver, they finished Gunblade and Oblivion Orb. Taking over the blue side jungle that gives them Baron control, but also an inner turret. So I think so far so good from TL. So this is the scenario TL have built for. They've got QSSs. They're happy to frontline. All right, we need to slow this down. So after the initial engagements, it's worth noting that Flash down on Rush, I believe away from the Rakan. Galio ult still on cooldown. GP ult still on cooldown. Impact's Flash down, but Hemoplague is back up when this re-engage happens. Quickness down. 3,000 gold lead for TL, which it means that they've got their core items and they've got their QSSs as well. Jensen goes super hard here. Let's watch this replay from Jensen. E back and flashed in to try to... Is this Flash R? What is this? I need to watch the R cooldown to understand. Some of Akali's... Does R flash work for a stun? I guess it does. Okay, so it's R flash just to get the stun onto Lost. That's a lot to use to get onto Lost, and he has both summoners up. Okay. So much is used to get on Lost with summoners up, and then Double Lift ends up just being in the middle of the fight and dying. Like, all the thought here is let's get on to Lost. And the Rakan ult steal hatch is pretty big here. So it means that Yasui can come through and just control space, and Xayah has nowhere to go. Very single track minded from TL to just kill Lost at all chance, but without vision over the wall. Like, the fact that they make this play and invest this much when they don't have control over the wall. If Lost flashes down, I think this play is actually always correct, but in this particular scenario, Lost can flash over this torch on the bottom left hand of the screen and be clear. There's no one to follow him. Meanwhile, Double Lift, who has everything up at this point, ults through, tries to flash away. I think Double Lift plays this, the back end of it fine, but it's because, like, TL have put everything into killing Lost when they don't actually have the ability to do so. They can never guarantee a kill here because he can flash defensively over the wall. And because all of that's happening, like, on the other side, for example, as the play starts, the first big problem that we noticed that I actually hadn't internalized beforehand is top left. Xmithy is actually nowhere near getting to this fight, and Vladimir also is so far away. Impact and Xmithy are nowhere near the fight. So if you actually kind of reorientate yourself now, it's everyone trying to dive onto Lost, with Hakuho and Yasui patrolling one side, Solo the other side, and Xmithy and Impact just not there. You know, Impact can come in and clean up Rush, I guess, but I guess the reason why I want to replay this so often is a couple of things. The moment that TL corral Lost down and commit to him here, like the moment this happens, the fight is never going to happen around where Vladimir is. It's never going to be Echo Fox pushing through mid lane and then Vladimir being in position to impact. So the moment Impact goes the long way here, and Xmithy's clearing wards, when the decision is made to all in onto Lost. Which means that if you're looking at the screen here, at this area top side, never going to matter. This area, never going to matter. The fight's going to happen roughly in this circle, i.e. towards the left hand of the torch and the right hand of the torch and the middle of the lane. So that means that Xmithy and Impact are always going to be super out of position to ever impact the team fight. They're going to be late. They're not going to be able to be present at all. So it's weird that TL's pushing everyone down while Vladimir is in position for them to be going all the way around. This is a very obvious disconnect without hearing the comms of approach. So you just get a very kind of staggered fight from Team Liquid where they don't ever fight in layered means. And it means that Double Lift just ends up kind of in the middle of everything and thus in nowhere. Like, he's everywhere and nowhere, just dying first, and then they can just kite around Lost here. It's kind of amazing how off this team fight is from TL in kind of multiple different ways. I don't feel like I have exactly my brain around it to fully kind of articulate what I want to say, but I think that the main case is like this very scattered shot calling from Team Liquid. Calling a bad shot calling, I think, undersells just how scattered it is. It's a bit all over the place. All the control words around the map. So much vision lead here from Team Liquid. Like, why put down all your control wards topside on the Baron, spotting around, spotting the enemy blue, and then fight this far away from your vision? Like, this is so far away from where TL is strong. They're strong topside. That's where Xmithy was clearing. That's where Impact was. But top and jungle are apparently completely off compared to TL, who are fighting away from their vision, away from some of their other members. It's like too many Red Bulls scenario, or too much Red Cordial scenario here from TL. Really, really poor. Really poor. And now the gold lead stays. Now it's 600, right? Now there's no gold lead because a lot of the gold that was on. Where were the bounties before? Let's check. Yeah, the 400 gold bounty on double lift is now gone, right? With all the gold going back through this play, suddenly the game is basically even. So we paused at 10 minutes, 6 minutes, 14 minutes, and the question I had was, how could Team Liquid not win this game? But this Team Liquid is not a patch on Team Liquid on a good day. Like, this just seems like Team Liquid on a real bad day. Very strange. Rush has a full utility build. Now, if you pause the game and say, if a 50-50 fight happens, Knight's Vow plus the Zeke's Convergence onto Kai'Sa with 2.5 items with 2 evolves, like, I can definitely see Echo Fox winning a fight now. I didn't really understand what it looked like before. But now, with new item completions, I can see what it looks like. Obviously, is mostly going to be for the Zeke's Convergence and not killing anyone, though. What is happening on the bottom side here? So Vladimir's in position for a flank. That's how this starts. And then Echo Fox is super disconnected to start this play. Holy crap. Lost his frontlining, baby. What a team fight. I can't believe it. Solo's actually the best player in history because this is the ultimate Yakety Sax bait the enemy. And this is some masturbating right here from Solo. He's on the bottom side. He doesn't know that Vladimir's there for a flank by any means. But watch how this happens. He's 2 levels up, so he's not actually afraid to die. He's got Hex Drinker. He's, in a pretty decent spot to make this happen. But the ability to reset here after Core JJ goes in means that Galio suddenly is the center of the fight, and then it's Cannon Barrage at level 3. Nobody can even see Lost and barrels for days. Holy moly. Solo just styled on them. This is the big balls play from Solo. Because then everybody from TL is focused on that idiot GP that's out of position, and thus everyone on TL is out of position when Echo Fox comes in to clean up. Watch it from the perspective of Lost. He's the fun one to watch here. Because he comes in late, invisible, not spotted, and then in between all of the Wamba, right? So no one can see him, as he has both Zeke's Convergence and Knight's Vow on him. And then as the fight continues on, Lost can frontline kill people without being accountable. Because so many of the eyes were onto the GP. Ugh. That was dirty from Solo. The amount you get baited in a game like this. That is taking a lot. How much are they going to end the game? Oh my god, they win off this? Wow. 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 Like, Team Liquid is in a gold lead this entire game that ranges from like 3 to 4K. It grows bigger. They do everything right in the early game. this is such tilting way to lose the game. They're still ahead now. They're 3 Jakes to 1. They're Vladimir's in flank position to get them a Baron from a team fight, and Solo outplaying them like this loses them the game. Like the percentage of this game time that Team Liquid is in a pretty decent gold lead is like 85%, and they just straight up win the game from that. Wow. Wait, Vlad never pulled in that fight? I assume that this was a different type of never pulled. You're right, Vlad never pulled, but it's not quite the LoL impact moment. But it actually lost from this play. Like the summary of this game is so sad from a Team Liquid perspective, because the summary of this game is actually played early game really, really well and made some great decisions and got a big gold lead that was well deserved, doing the right thing in multiple areas. Echo Fox kind of power entered into the bot side before GP ult was up, so they couldn't even get value out of that. So they couldn't even play bot side. The early turrets went down for Team Liquid, but then Team Liquid could never skirmish how they wanted to because things just didn't come together, and the QSSs kind of put them in item troughs when they should have been in item ascendancies. But that alone wasn't going to be enough to affect the way this game went. That alone, like that as a one thing, as a one note, wouldn't have changed how this game went. But then from there was some mechanical mistakes, like Impact just dropping off the W button. And then when they finally did get their ducks in a row, they were just kind of punked in one team fight where Solo was just able to show them and masterfully bait them around, and then the game just ended. So there was so many realistic reasons where Team Liquid thought there was no way they could lose this game. Like they were in a very comfortable spot. They're against a team they're expected to beat, and they had a good early game. But then 2 to 3 mistakes later, and the game is over and ends at 28 minutes, which is, partly a reality of how fast games can end. But this was definitely TL playing 3-card Monty and there being no victory under all of the cups. 3-card Monty is the one where you have the ball, you put under cup, where is the prize? Well, the prize here was a loss, actually. The prize was an Echo Fox victory. And this would be a real tilter. Like, you leave this game, everyone's played solo queue games like this, where you're way ahead and then you meander a little bit and then, like, some weird stuff happens and you can't get it going and then you just lose and you're like, how did I lose this game? Like, for sure, this is the one where at the end of the season, let's say they end up second because they're like game difference behind, or they're 1 game behind the first place team, and like, how did we lose that game to Echo Fox? And like, it was a real fiesta of a loss there. Like, Team Liquid did a lot of good things, like, but still lost. Credit to Solo, though. He played really, really well in this game. Definitely a tilting loss, for sure, in this game. I think you only takeaway on QSSs, because I think a lot of people will talk about that from this review, is there's a right amount of QSSs. There's a right amount of players to buy it, and it's basically, how is this game going to go? If it's going to go the way we need it to go to win, do I need QSS to win the game? And for a frontline diver, if you need to dive turrets, you need a QSS. For 4 people, and the only person not getting it, Vladimir, to buy QSS all at the same time, you better set up your 5v5 smartly. Sadly, TL did not. TL dived far away from the terrain they controlled, and it ended up being kind of 2 to 3 skirmishes. So they weren't actually 5v5 able to trivialize Skarner, and Skarner just got to ult Vladimir, kill him, and they won the game from that. So it's a disconnect between itemization and playstyle. It seems like the itemization was mindless, i.e. Skarner ult bad, suppression ult bad by QSS, but then it doesn't just end there, because the cost of that is that you don't have a Phage, you don't have another BF sword, you don't have a Zeal. And they didn't play towards that, and then they were way more than the sum of their parts. So yeah, just a tilting loss for Team Liquid. You definitely feel like you sheepish after that game because your coach can rightfully say, you guys did so much right and you were so far ahead, and yet you lost in 28 minutes, which that's what happens. So we'll call it there for Team Liquid versus Echo Fox. That's one of those games where you have really great games and you have really bad games. And then you have the games where people ask me how a game was. And I'm like, well, for sure that was a game of League of Legends. Because, yeah, that was a game of League of Legends. I'm going to take a short break, run some ads, and come back, answer questions, and that will be the stream. So thank you very much to everyone who's watched tonight. Please do stick around if you have any questions. I will definitely stick around to answer them. But we'll call it there in terms of the VOD reviews. Thank you very much for watching. And if this will be the end of your stream watching for tonight, hope to have you join us tomorrow for the return of the LCK. It will be KT versus Jinair coming tomorrow. So, gonna take a break and come back very shortly.